The charges against me for refusing the draft were actually dropped on a technicality uh, about 4 years in to my exile back in 1972. By that time, Amex was in full swing, and the fact that my charges had been dropped allowed me the freedom to travel back and forth between the United States and Canada. And I became kind of what you could call an exile ambassador, traveling across the US, building up support for war resistors and for amnesty. It's worth remembering that by 1974, Nixon was on the ropes. He had to resign in disgrace, which was almost like a personal victory for us, although it was really caused by much bigger things. When he when he resigned in August of 1974, his vice president Ford came to power, and the first thing he did after giving Nixon an official pardon was to offer a clemency program to to draft resistors, not to other resistors, and we rejected it. We called it a hoax, a shamnesty, as we said, because it did not exonerate our decision. It required alternate service that we were not prepared to accept, and it left out the majority of people who needed amnesty, who were military resistors, either in AWOL or having suffered already bad conduct discharges or less than honorable discharges. So we conducted a boycott, and it was decided at that time that I would relocate to New York as a staff member for the National Council of Universal Unconditional Amnesty to help coordinate that boycott. It wasn't going to be a passive boycott, but one in which some of us would challenge the government by going to the United States to seek support without having had our charges dismissed. My close friend Steve Grossman, who was a draft resistor, took the first move, and my job was to coordinate his travel through the Midwest, help him surface at a amnesty conference in Kentucky, and then go back to Canada. The next one was even harder, and that was my friend Jerry Condon, who had been charged and convicted of desertion and had a 10-year sentence at Fort Leavenworth hanging over him. But we surfaced him at a big amnesty conference in Washington, D.C. And after speaking to the supporters as well as to the reporters, he and his compañera of the time, Sandy Rutherford, took off on a national tour that lasted for months. In fact, he really never stopped touring, and about 8 months into the tour, he received a discharge in the mail, which chalked up another victory. So this was really the start of a kind of a second phase of resistance in which, instead of being in Canada, I was living in New York and working as one of the staff members and coordinators of the amnesty campaign.